Broderick Wallace. You know, it's a lovely story where that name came from, which I will tell another day. But anyway, I'm pre-recording this video to be, I mean, it's only like under an hour away anyway, for me now, but for you, it's Halloween, and for the channel, it's 3 years. Can you believe it? 3 years. And how do I say this quickly? Because it might, every time I move around, my keeps activating the buttons on the keys in my pocket, and all the lights on my van, dear Hermione here, Hermione Trismegistus, they're all flashing all over the place. I don't want to attract doggers again. I've learnt this. Don't flash the lights in the night. But it's okay. We're not anywhere too wild right now. But it's just a matter of time before we head back into the wild places. And 3 years, yeah. So when I first started this channel, it was very secretive, because I've exposed a very fragile part of myself, especially earlier on, and I didn't have a friend group or anything. Just been through a divorce, and I would say my only close friend that I would speak to, from time to time, was Mr. Samuel Connor, who's appeared on the channel. And little did I know that sooner or later I would be invited into a wonderful, the Session School of Hermetic Meditation, which I know over time is going to become a serious heavy hitter in terms of longevity and producing the fruits, in terms of certain students. And let's talk about that for a moment. So it's not long away now that Session Circle, Bluebell Hill, I'm gonna begin that, open the doors, if you like, on winter solstice this year, 2022. Not long away now. So just getting a few things ready. And so you gotta be level-headed about things. Like, so for instance, when I first started this channel, it's like I want to communicate this story, this experience, but not all of it. And I can't communicate all of it. And how do you do that? I had to adopt this role, this persona, which isn't false, but which definitely is a side of myself, and a way that I can, dramatically tackle the strange experiences that I was going through and am still going through. I could never have guessed the way things would turn out. So going from, say for instance, eventually using writing to communicate more of the story. And you see, this is something that I've learnt now, which will carry on in future. I don't think I can tell the whole thing properly. And don't get me wrong, I don't have an audience for this, right? But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to tell as much as I feel is appropriate and that I can over time, and this will link in gradually. I'm confident that the threads of the weird, in juxtaposition to the chaos, things will come together. It will. I mean, it's already beginning to make some kind of sense, isn't it? So we've passed through this stage of just beginning to tell this story, and then we have a wonderful opportunity where I was invited to join a magical order, and the training that has taken place over the last couple of years. And of course, again, much that I can't talk about, but gradually we're learning how to begin to approach this. So then we move on to interviews. So you see, ever since I was a little boy, anything that I've got enthusiastic about, I couldn't just be a spectator. There goes the phone. Yeah, I had to, if I get enthusiastic about something, I have to do it. So like, I'm sure there's lots of things, but immediately what comes to mind is comics. So I'm reading comics, I'm studying the art, and, a lot of, there's a big influence, even to this day. So I want to draw my own comics. I want to make art like similar to, what I'm looking at. Back in the day, comics were a big deal, in the 80s as a small boy. So then we moved to heavy metal music. So I can't just listen to it. I have to learn how to play. I did flirt around with different roles or instruments until I eventually ended up with the job of having to do almost everything in order to birth anything into the world. My Jekyll's project, which I'm very, very proud of. There was another band before this, but it's we didn't do too much, but I have this anyway on my music channel, documented. So then it becomes writing, really, and see, this is really difficult. Like you can't just, you read books and you're into this subject, you're going out to Egypt and seeing the pyramids, and you're learning about Hermeticism and paganism and all these various things, and you want to do that as well. So you are, but we're talking like pre-internet here. It's like, where's the angle in on this? It takes a long time to get this going, and it's the internet played a pivotal role in finally getting things, cooking up properly. So you can't, this isn't always strictly true, right? But like, you can't write unless you're really clear, and it's like a burning passion within you, that this needs to come out, that you have something to say, that you can. You see, I used to wonder for years, like, I used to sit down and think, I really want to write something. I had these ideas for various stories, some of it sci-fi, some, occult stuff. A story that I planned out in my mind called The Head. I had this idea that it's a bit like one of those horror movies, teenagers, something happens, like a dare or something, whereby they go out to a graveyard and they, uncover a tombstone or dig up a body or something, and they open the coffin and they take the head and they bring this back to like a little cabin that they're staying at for, a holiday or something. And they put this head in the middle of a Ouija board. So this is good for Halloween, right? I should get the lighting right, they get this severed head, this mummified head, all the way back, 1800s or something, and place this in the middle of a Ouija board. And then they do what I did, and again, thank you, Mr. David Conway, for your magical primer, making that salt circle and, invoking the elemental guardians, etc. And so they tried to communicate with this head. I didn't do that, by the way. I didn't do that bit. But I did the Ouija board thing. This was early experiences, and I do want to make a video on this at some time. Me and my good buddy, who I shall call on this channel by the name of Obzo, for various reasons. He never really quite liked that name, but that's what the spirits on the board decided was his name. I was known as Bile. He was known as Obzo. And you can imagine it. We're in the woods, so it was my harebrained scheme. I thought, you know, like there's something missing to this. It can't quite seem to get the, you know, at the time, this sort of climactic result of communication. So I thought, right, make the circle, elemental guardians, all this stuff, various paraphernalia, various rituals. You know, I had them all written down on pieces of paper. I've still got them in the book here. And yeah, in the woods, Ouija board in the middle, and lo and behold, the spirit that came through described itself as the lawkeeper of God. I mean, talk about beginner's luck. I mean, we'd have been happy with, you know, Auntie Doreen or whatever on the other side, but we get the obviously I'm saying this slightly tongue-in-cheek, but this is the experience that we had, and we were affected by a sense of presence and dignity, and we had a really wonderful conversation, and there were a few predictions made, which I won't voice here, which one of them in particular is beginning to manifest. So yeah, wonderful times, and thank you, Obzo, if you ever watch this video. A fine guitar player, taught me much and lent me lots of equipment, and I'm always very grateful to this day. Anyway, getting back to this story. The head. So the head is placed, actually probably wouldn't work in the middle of the Ouija board. There'd be, all right, it's just like just behind the Ouija board or something in the middle, you know. Anyway, so it's getting creepy. It's all right, I'm in suburbia at the moment, which actually is the scariest place you can be, to be honest. In a car park. Anyway, so they begin to communicate with this head, and then the Ouija board starts moving, and there's a knock at the door. And they can't get up because they've made the salt circle, and they've invoked the elemental guardians, etc. So they can't get up. So they ask the board, "Who's that? Who's knocking at the door?" And then you can imagine, you might even guess, the glass begins to spell out, "Give," they're writing it down, "me back my head." And this is partially based on a true story, because this happened to me and Obzo. You know, I've never uploaded this, but on the end of my first Jekazol recording, on the CD version, it's not on anything that I've uploaded online. I should do, actually, if I can. But I don't even have a PC. I've only got my phone. Oh, it's difficult these days. Everything's difficult. Anyway, there is a recording, right, where we placed a dictaphone in the middle of the Ouija board, and we were having our usual conversations. Do you know what? Like, even now, to this day, like, when I just think of the names and the sense of presence, it fills me with respect. Actually, I wouldn't be crass about such things. But anyway, there was one particular character, And I know there's lots of people that say this is all goes on in your head. And Lon Milo Duquette would say, you have no idea, just how big, not just how big your head is, or maybe in some cases, you know what I mean, the space between your ears. It's, there's a lot that goes on. It's the microcosm thing. You know what I'm talking about, right? So yeah, we were, I'm not sure if both of these things happened on the same night, but I'm pretty sure that they did, that we were, the dictaphone, and this is showing my age again, that I was able to even purchase a tape, those mini tapes, a dictaphone, which was exactly what you would need. I'm not sure if you get the same result with some sort of digital, well, if you put your phone there or whatever, I'm not sure you'd get the same kind of result anyway. So hit record, and we asked, can you leave a message on the dictaphone, on the tape? And stop it, freaking me out. Don't make me come out and react maturely in the Hermetic way. Anyway, so yeah, basically there was a knock at the door and we couldn't get up because we'd made the circle and everything, and we were, busy. And we said, who's there? And the glass spelt out THEPO, and my heart's beginning to sink, LICE. The police. So, of course we ignored it, waited for them to go away. And, so yeah, when we listened back to the recording, there was a voice, and it did send a chill up my spine. But I will say, with all of this, I've always had a curious kind of confidence and a kind of relaxed sort of sense of flow and relationship with these subjects. Well, obviously, if you were rattled by every noise outside, or you wouldn't be involved, would you? But I must admit, it's not the spirits, it's not such things that disturb me. It's curtain twitchers and yobs. That's what we need to be cautious of. We need to know what's going on. We're confident, but and don't get me wrong. I was about to talk about the online thing. Yes. Anyway, in this time since the channel has began, I have caught a little bit of flack here and there from various people and establishments, and it's not going to slow me down. And I'm beginning to work things out. I'm beginning to develop a strategy under some wonderful guidance, but I'm sensible enough anyway. I must admit, after my divorce, there was a lot going on, and I did sort of go into a strange space in my head, and I've taken that strangeness with me back to kind of shake hands with my previous self. If you can understand that, it's a very funny thing. I think, I was nearly 40 at the time, and a lot of us men, we do go through a kind of sort of midlife extravaganza, don't we? It's just one of those things that tends to happen. I know someone who's going through one of them right now. I'm here for you, buddy. I'm here for you. Yeah. So anyway, where were we? Yes. More interviews to come. And you may have noticed in the first interview with my good friend Lucius Movena from Session, obviously the school that I belong to, right? As soon as you hit record, something different something different happens, a different atmosphere takes shape. And this feeds in with everything that is the processes that have been underway for the last couple of years. And that is you realise that there's a better way of doing things, and that's politely and seriously, but in a way that is relaxed. And it gave me a lot of respect for just that small experience. Sometimes listening to podcasts, I would think, why don't they ask some really difficult questions? Why don't they? And because you can't lay it on. I mean, I know Alex from Skeptico does, but you want things to be relaxed, and that's how you get the best out of people. And that's the better of two evils, if you like. So this relates to what I was talking about earlier, whereby you experience things. I listen to podcasts all day, and so I listen to podcasts. I mean, I'm sad to say it's like the new reading. I spend so much time in meditation that while I'm working, this is where I get a lot of my information from, and I'm trying to. I'm going to have to be strict with myself to get some allocated reading time back into my life. But yeah, you're listening, you're intrigued. This is a wonderful format. Just listening to two people in conversation. It's different from me waffling on in the dark on my own here. As soon as that, now of course I've talked with my friend Mr. Samuel Connor in person on the channel, and will continue to do so. Hopefully we'll get things finished off. But it's a different format, isn't it? The podcast, the interview, the conversation on a subject which is not strictly personal, like it has been a lot of the stuff for me or between me and Mr. Connor, where we're talking about something that has a wider appeal. So hopefully, a lot more of that to come, and maybe less of this kind of thing. But it's only correct to celebrate 3 years. And by the time you're watching this, it will be Halloween. We're nearly there. So yeah, could never have guessed. Very, very strange. And yes. So, as I've said many times before, my name is Broderick Wallace. Don't be afraid of the dark. Take care. Thank you. And yeah, more to come with the interviews and Session Circle Bluebell Hill to be announced on the winter solstice this year, 2022. Thank you. Awesome. Goodbye for now.